Hey y'all, I am LucidFaith, and today let's talk about the Gpose feature in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, Gpose, or Group Pose, is a feature you can use to take really cool screenshots. There are a ton of options in this, so instead of covering absolutely everything, let's just focus on the bits that I use the most. Let's jump in. There are two ways you can activate Gpose. First, you can simply type /Gpose into your chat box. The second way is through your menu. Click on your character menu and then click on Actions and Traits. This will open a new window. On the left-hand side, click the bottom option of Extra. The first action here is Group Pose. You can click on it to activate the feature, or you can drag it to your hotbar for easy access. The General Settings tab is where I spend most of my time, and first up are the camera position sliders. The top slider is for your zoom. Drag it to the left to zoom out and to the right to zoom in. The second slider is for rotating the camera. I sometimes like to throw a slight angle on there for artistic flair, but most of the time I leave it level. The third slider is for manual brightness adjustment. You have to click the box to activate it, and this is super nice for changing how bright the whole image is. Taking the slider all the way to the right makes the image brighter, and all the way to the left makes it darker. This is different from adding a light source, which we'll talk about soon. Color filter is the first drop-down menu, and this one has a huge impact on your images. Go through and try them all out and see what you like for your screenshots that you're taking. Personally, the Bright 4 color filter is the one I use the most. Screen effects is the next drop-down menu, and this has a collection of options that can influence or add things to your screenshot. The depth of field options are how you can change the focus of your image. To put it simply, this is how you can make some things blurry and other things not. Click the Enable Depth of Field button, and then you can move the slider. If you move the slider to the left, most of the background will be blurred. If you move it all the way to the right, everything will be in focus or not blurry. If you want advanced control over the focus, click the Enable Manual Focus button and play with that slider. The last thing to note on this page is the first slider under Limb Darkening. This causes the really cool effect of having a dark outer ring around your image. On the left side of the menu, you'll see a line of buttons. The second button down is the Effect Frame Settings button. The options I like to mess with on this menu are the frames. Click the frame drop-down menu to try out all the different frames there are. Note there are two different versions of each frame. One that's affected by the camera settings, which is indicated by a star next to it, and one that's not, indicated by the diamond. Settings like the camera position is what it's referring to here. The third button on the left side is the Lighting Settings menu. This menu allows you to control 3 different light sources. Each light can be turned on or off by the 3 light bulb buttons at the top. The numbers 1, 2, and 3 correlate with the lighting settings below. Each light can be changed, and the part I typically change is the type. Now, the type is how bright the light is. Type 1 is the dimmest, and Type 3 is the brightest. I like to change Lighting 1 to Type 1, and Lighting 2 to Type 2. From there, I can toggle each light on and off to see what effects it'll have. If you want a bit more advanced control, you can play with the sliders, but I'm too scared to touch those. The next menu is the fourth button, and that is the Motion Settings. There are a few important bits here. Starting off, the left of the 2 buttons at the top is the Face Camera button. When you click it, your character will look at your camera. This is handy when you want your character to look in a specific direction. Next, at the bottom of the panel is an emote section with 2 buttons. The left button opens up the emote menu and lets you choose an emote for your character to do. Then, back at the top right of the panel, there is a button with 2 arrows. This turns on and off emote looping. So if you want your emote to restart when it ends, turn this on. Otherwise, your character will go back to its idle stance. The last thing of note is the Select Action checkbox. If you have that checked, your character will do the animation of the last action you performed. Many skills you can use outside of combat. If you want one of those animations, you can just use it real quick and then pop in a Gpose. If you want an offensive action stored, you can go out and use the ability on a monster and then run away. Once you're out of aggro, you can go into Gpose and your character will be doing the attack animation. The last side menu is the character display settings. This one is super cool. You can choose what characters, players, NPCs, minions, or even monsters to show or hide. If the box is filled in, that means that object, character, NPC will show. If it's not checked, it'll be hidden. Go through, click all the buttons, see what it does. Also check out the drop-down menu at the top for a whole bunch of presets. It's one of the coolest things here. The last bit I use a lot are the shortcut buttons at the top of the menu. The third button is the disable or enable motion button. I use this to stop my character mid-emote to nail that pose I want. The fifth button is also amazing. It's the stop weather and time button. If you like the current weather of where you are or the time of day, you can pause it. If the button has a yellow gold border, that means the weather and time are paused. If you click it again, you will jump to whatever the current and weather and time is. It doesn't just start flowing from when you paused it. My final tip is to make sure you have a key bound to hide the UI when you want to take screenshots in and outside of Gpose. First off, click on the system in your menu and then click Keybind. A new window will pop up. Click on the System tab and scroll down and you'll see an entry for Toggle UI Display Mode. Make sure you have a key assigned here. Now, if you don't want to do this for some reason, there is a button to hide your UI while you're in Gpose. Make sure to check out the system message when you first enter Gpose, and that should tell you what button to use. However, you won't be able to hide your UI outside Gpose with that, so keep in mind you won't be able to take any quick, clean screenshots. And those are my tips for Gpose. I barely scratched the surface of this feature, so if you have any tips, leave them down in the comments below. Also, if you have any screenshots that you're proud of, at me on Twitter, join the Discord to share them, whatever, I'd love to see them. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And I also stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so drop them by if you want to talk about this or anything else. Lastly, I'll remind each and every one of you that you matter. I'll see you in the next one.